Hello and welcome to another Looney Tunes review video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you subscribe to follow my journey to review all 1000 classic Looney Tunes shorts and give this video a like as well. So this is a review for Heir-Conditioned, and with me today to talk about the wonderful world of finance and investing is my good friend S.C. McPeter. Say hi.
Hello.
It's Elmer J. Millionaire, but that's why perhaps he's a great financial advisor, but we will certainly go through that in this review. So, as mentioned, this is a review for Heir-Conditioned, released on the 26th of November 1955. It's the 755th in the series, and it's directed by Friz Freleng. You can find this beautiful restoration on the Looney Tunes Gold Collection Volume 6 DVD set, and a high-definition version is lurking around, which is what I'm using for this review. But you won't find it on YouTube unless Warner Brothers themselves choose to upload it, and honestly, I don't see why they would. Maybe they will, I don't know. Stranger things have happened. But in case you haven't seen this one, well, Sylvester inherits a fortune, and Elmer Fudd is assigned to be his financial advisor. And we see a whole bunch of cats trying to take the money away in order for Sylvester to be able to spend it. We'll go through all that as we go through the short. So, in terms of trivia for this one, now this is the second of 3 shorts underwritten by the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation. I go through all of that in the review of By Word of Mouse, and to get a bit of cash injection at the time when the studio was reopened, Alfred P. Sloan basically put up money so that shorts could be made promoting their ideology in relation to investment and capitalism and that sort of thing. So yeah, this is the second one, and arguably it's a better one than By Word of Mouse, at least in my opinion.
I think this is the best of the 3. It has the strongest theme with the non-capitalist action in it. It's at least entertaining on its own when you ignore the fact that it was underwritten by a foundation to promote capitalist ideology. I think one good thing is that the Warner cartoons did have very strong themes, and that resonates well with audiences, and this one has the great theme of greed and desire. Sylvester just wants to have the money to throw a good time.
If you want to know more about the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation in relation to how it all fits in with both Word of Mouse, this short, and Yankee Doodle, so those 3 shorts, definitely check out By Word of Mouse because I go through it there. Now, this is actually the first time you have Sylvester and Elmer in a short where they're not rivals or antagonists. I mean, they were certainly paired up together, but here they're perhaps not friends, but Elmer's trying to help Sylvester, and Sylvester thinks, oh no, they just want to take my money away, I want to spend it, I want to have fun with it, and so on.
Elmer Fudd's the big stool pigeon for capitalism.
Exactly. We even get a cameo by Tweety in this one, where this would then make it the only short in the golden age of Looney Tunes where we have Elmer and Tweety in the same short, because they never were together in any other short, which is, it's one of those little interesting observations, I suppose. But you seem to think that it might have just been a little bit of a gimmick for this short, or at least you suspect it is.
Yeah, he seems sort of shoehorned in because he's the most recognizable Warner character in this, and it might have just been done just to throw a bit more marquee value, but I can't find anything that calls this a Tweety cartoon, so it may have just been done so the audience paid more attention to the cartoon.
I think that might have been the case, but he's there. He doesn't say his trademark "I told to a putty tat," which is one of the few shorts he doesn't, but hey, he's there, and in an interesting gag too, which we'll go through in just a moment. But what's really interesting is that this is the only short, as far as I can see, and this information comes from Keith Scott's wonderful Cartoon Voices book, so I had to look ahead on the credits to make sure I was correct. But as far as I'm aware, this is the only short where you have Mel Blanc, Arthur Q. Bryan, Stan Freberg, and Dawes Butler all in one, okay? So you've got Sylvester and Tweety by Mel Blanc, you've got Elmer by Arthur Q. Bryan, of course. Dawes Butler and Stan Freberg, they do the various cats, as you see all throughout.
That's one great thing about this cartoon over the others. It has a really great cast, especially because they have Stan Freberg and Dawes Butler. I think Dawes is a little miscast in this one. I'll get to that later, but yeah, this one, when you're listening to it, you really do enjoy the voice work because it has a lot more variety than what you usually expect from a Warner cartoon.
We're going to start now seeing Dawes Butler more and more, and then less and less once Hanna-Barbera really kicks off. And this isn't the first time that Dawes Butler was in a short. He was in that wonderful Christmas short with Sylvester and Tweety, where he does the voice of the narrator. So it's not the first time, but now you're going to see him be more and more involved as Stan Freberg is involved less and less. So you get this little transition period.
They would use Stan Freberg just a little bit, but his career was also taking off too. I wonder how this one was recorded. I don't have any recording dates on him, but they probably had Stan do his lines in another session, I would have to imagine, or Dawes. It seems weird that they would have all 4 of them at the same time.
Oh, I doubt they would have, given how busy Stan Freberg was getting at this point. And really the main Stan Freberg thing that would come after this would be Three Little Bops, but other than that, he's just here and there, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah, with this short, I do agree with you. This is perhaps the best of the three. I have to rewatch Yankee Doodle just to refresh my memory on it, but offhand, I think, yeah, this one's the best one, and it's got a great idea as well. And Walt Disney was doing a lot of his educational stuff, whether it's Toot Whistle Plug Boom or stuff that he was going to do on Disneyland and whatnot, is that if you're going to educate someone, make it incredibly entertaining. And whether you agree with the factoids being presented in this short or not, you can't deny at least they did their best to make it really entertaining.
Yeah, I think this one is very entertaining. I got kind of distracted from what was being educated, but this one was on TV not that long ago. And when that happened, I actually did pay attention to it, which I usually wouldn't. I wouldn't do that for the other two Alfred P. Sloan cartoons.
It's also an interesting time capsule because remember when this came out, the Cold War was really a major thing, but there's the Red Scare and there was definitely a lot of intense pro-capitalist propaganda out there. So when you watch this short from that lens as well, I think it makes for an interesting time capsule too. And of course, what's the theme of this short? Because you've got Milt Franklin doing the score. What's the theme? We're in the money. Of course it is. It's got to be the theme here. But I reckon we take a look at this short from start to finish and just go through why this one works as a great edutainment short, even if you don't agree with what's being said all throughout. We start off in a neighborhood and we see this alley cat. I love these ugly designs that you see Frisk Filling use more and more of. I love it.
I like how his fingers are posturing them. We almost immediately get into the newspaper, the Daily Blurb, or in Arkansas, which I think that's a really funny touch because it almost emphasizes, without you probably seeing it on a bigger screen, that this is a place where nothing probably happens that much.
This opening bit is pretty much how a lot of Sylvester shorts would have typically opened, because how many times have you seen the shot of Sylvester just walking through an alleyway with a garbage bin lid, looking for food in the bins before realizing, oh, there's a bird and whatever.
I was thinking actually Kit for Kat with that because that's another Sylvester and Elmer cartoon.
The Daily Blurb, as you mentioned, and the filler text, I believe, is just from the Warner Club News that was around at the time because you'll see references to Warner Brothers in the text. Yeah. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. Obviously, this was just designed so you look at the headline and nothing more. But with the power of freeze framing, it's interesting to see what they used in the article.
Yeah. Something I noticed as well is that when they look at Sylvester, the camera's a little out of focus, but when they begin to truck into Elmer Fudd, it's corrected during that.
Maybe it's the way it's shot, but again, it costs a lot of money to reshoot, so they probably just went with it, and that's that.
Really, probably didn't even care that much.
No, he probably didn't. I highly doubt he would have, or he probably didn't notice.
Yeah.
He was probably working on something else.
After this, the layout of the pipes or the gutter system where the cats begin to ward each other. I love that option.
Yeah? Sylvester's inherited a fortune!
Needlessly complicated, but it's funny to look at.
It's like their own phone system, really. I guess it's ringing in its own way. Hey, if it works, right?
Sylvester's inherited $1 million. Hey, Bernie, hear about Sylvester? Inherited $3 million.
Sylvester? $3 million?
So I guess when you hear a lot of cats meowing at night, well, they're really meowing to each other about how one of their brethren is now rich. So there's that. So is this, having a game of telephone where some of the information changes as well. And we even see, Tweety in the cameo where you got this cat who's clearly smarter than Sylvester. He actually caught Tweety.
Ooh, $3 million?
I just look and he just puts him down, and then we get the cat having something very close to Huckhound's voice as Dawes does it, trying to tell them, and then after he gets it, he corrects them. And I think Dawes is kind of miscast here. He's usually very good at playing identifiable characters, usually with a caricature of an actor's voice, but here, he's playing a lot of miscellaneous cats, which I think is not necessarily a good role for him, but he still gives he gives a very genuine feeling to his characters, of course.
Yeah, but I like the fact that the cat gets knocked out by some random person, because again, they're probably just hearing random meows, and they would have hated all the cats just meowing.
Hey, Benny, Sylvester inherited $5 million.
But sure enough, we see the Acme safe, and I like the added touch where we see a mattress and all the money was hidden under there. So this rich woman, instead of putting money in the bank,
I'm rich! I'm rich! 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 You doll!
Maybe that's why she was so rich. Maybe that's why she didn't invest in the 1920s, you know, because she looks pretty old. She probably just kept the money in the mattress instead of putting it in the stock market, which is kind of ironic, given what Alma's going to say.
Yeah. It's funny that she even set up a financial advisor for Sylvester.
Exactly. And I love her design. Just, yeah, this old woman who must have done pretty well for herself to survive that 1929 market crash, I would think. But we see that Sylvester's all gleeful. He's playing with the money. I mean, I don't know about you. Even if I got rich, I wouldn't be playing with the money like that. But we see the stern-looking Alma.
I'm a rich pussycat! Sylvester, the handling of money is a great responsibility.
Look at the way he's dressed. I love his clothes here. Just look at him. Just see him.
And I noticed as well in the credits for this one, that might also be kind of why Tweedy's in here. Virgil Ross is credited, so we get some of the more Holly Pratt-influenced way in the characters look, because he used Holly Pratt's drawings verbatim in the character layout, so he had a much cuter way of drawing the characters. He probably did that Tweedy scene, and this is him doing the establishing work here of Elmer and Sylvester, which is very well done, of course. It's nice to have Virgil back.
Exactly. And I can see here that Elmer is being all stern when he's going to mention about the fact what he should really be doing with his money. And we see that weird shot of all the cats saying, for he's a jolly good fellow, so they're happy for Sylvester. But some of the cats in the background are black.
I like how it's sort of rendered as one big block.
Elmer is, of course, looking very serious, and he's saying, you guys stay out, I'm going to educate Sylvester in the wonders of capitalism, you know?
Sylvester's a jolly good fellow, for he's a jolly good fellow. Sylvester's a jolly good fellow, that nobody can deny.
Out, you cats! And stay out!
So sure enough, Sylvester seems to think that Elmer's going to basically take the money away from him because, you know, Sylvester just wants to spend it. He just wants to have fun with it, right? Like a lot of people who don't know how money actually works, right?
Those alley cat friends of yours would like to get their paws on it.
So we see a gag, and there's actually two gags here that's repeated from the short that you and I covered, A Mouse Divided, where the cats try to take the money by, in this case, sawing underneath, which again, I don't know how they put the saw through in the first place, but anyway, you go with it.
I don't know how the cats even got inside.
Yeah, so they try to take the money, but Alma's onto him, puts the dynamite in, and, you know, there's your gag.
It's nice that Freeling, even if it isn't a original gag, it's nice that Freeling still put in gags in between what Elmer's trying to do. And of course, he's trying to get Sylvester to recognize that this is a good opportunity for him by similarly persuade the audience subtly into thinking the same thing.
Exactly. And I like how Alma's holding that book. It just says investment. It doesn't say anything else. It just says investment. Which I get it. I know. It's a budget thing. I get it. But Alma's saying,
The first thing we'll do is invest the money in good companies, which will pay you a good return. Invest it? Yes, invest it.
to be fair, isn't bad advice per se. He's simplifying it, but, you know, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
But Sylvester thinks, no, it's my money. Don't take it away from me. And Alma says the best line in the short.
Don't be a fool, you idiot. Give me that.
Don't be a fool, you idiot.
Yeah, I love this whole sequence. It's by Art Davis. It's loose. I just love how even the bag gets scratched when Elmer takes it away from Sylvester out of his own hands.
And we see a gag here, which isn't repeated, but I guess it's a sort of similar idea to what was done in A Mouse Divided, where you've got, this ridiculous-looking cat playing this woman holding a baby and his oversight.
Yeah, and I love that it isn't even the big baby. It's the fact that the baby has to speak and ask for $50,000.
Could you help a poor widow pussycat with an underprivileged child?
Would a few dollars help?
Yeah, I think $50,000 would tide us over.
Darn old cats.
And of course, even use soap flakes to complete the picture here. And I like the fact that Elmer is almost duped at first. He's like, oh, how much money do you need? I guess Elmer isn't that smart, is he?
I guess he wants to invest in a good opportunity.
But sure enough, the widow cat ends up giving this baby cat a good old thrashing, saying, hey, you should have shut up and all that. So it's a great scene there. I love that.
Funded by Alfred P. Sloan, you actually get to have some funny beatdown and slapstick in this.
I told you to keep your big mouth shut.
I just love the animation of the cat being just beat up like that. It's so good. But we see that Sylvester's using this opportunity to run up the stairs with the money, and, well, Alma just gets him anyway and drags him back down. Now we've got some more educational parts. Yay for education.
Now try to understand. Putting this idle cash to work will not only benefit you, but everyone. For example, because people invested in an idea, we have the telephone today.
So Alma tries to make a point about saying, hey, you can put your fortune and that could work to benefit both him, Sylvester, and everyone else, right? But we put a hold on that thought because we hear the doorbell, and again, we got another gag that's reused involving the salesman.
This is a really good Mel Blanc performance, though, on this salesman cat. I think this would have been a great character for Dawes to do, but as Mel does it, it's still very funny.
Yes, he does that bit so well, uses Walla Walla, Washington. They keep on referencing that, which is a real place, I found out, but it just sounds so funny, I suppose. Rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? But he's from the Hi-Ho Silver Cleaner Company of Walla Walla, Washington.
How do you do, friend? I represent the Hi-Ho Silver Cleaner Company of Walla Walla, Washington. Don't worry, kid, we'll get you out of this. This cleaner sells for the small sum of $135 a bottle, and for $50,000, I am authorized to allow you to buy a half interest in the company. It performs miracles on precious metals such as gold and silver. I'll just borrow your watch for a moment. Thank you, sir. Be patient, kid.
And he tells Sylvester, hey, I'll get you out of this. He makes an opportunity. The opportunity fails right in front of Alma, who's not impressed, and he just leaves. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
This didn't work. Now, that scene is funny on its own, of course, and it's a great gag, but it also presents a point where you have to invest in good companies, not snake oil salesmen, basically. So there was also a point to that gag.
A Mouse Divided was a good one to crib from, of course, for that gag.
And now observe, I pour a little of this miracle liquid into the bowl. Now I dip the article to be cleaned into the solution, and presto, a brand new Well, since I have several more calls to make, I must be moving along. But if you ever want to buy an interest in the Silver Cleaner Company, sorry, kid, better luck next time. Just get in touch with the Hi-Ho Silver Cleaner Company of Walla Walla, Washington, friend. Ooh, that rascal.
And then we get Elmer goes to show Sylvester, sort of like a mix between a John Sutherland production and the sort of shorts that, as you mentioned, Walt Disney was doing on Disneyland and in the 60s, the edutainment cartoons.
The projector thing, I noticed that the animation is like on every other frame, so it's very limited, but I guess the whole idea is to emulate those sort of industrials, which is what they would have done at the time, because usually those industrials were very low budgeted, so the animation would be very limited, but with very strong designs to make up for it.
And we see the little gag here where he tries to keep a little bit of his paycheck to himself.
We got to have a little wife gag in there, right? You know, because we have to.
I love the fact that's the only time there's real animation when he goes to sit down, when the gag actually occurs.
So he goes through the whole capitalist idea where because people in the past used to work really long hours for little pay, which is true, that actually did happen. Regardless of what you think, that really did happen. And of course, by the miracles of capitalism, because people invested in stuff, now the standard of living is a lot better and people are making more money and so on.
People's savings were used to back good ideas, and industry plowed back earnings. New products appeared. New and more efficient industries made more jobs and higher wages.
It does fail to mention that labor unions had a massive part in it too. That's why we have better pay and less hours and so on, but we won't get into that, of course. It's very convenient, but I guess as a pro-capitalist vehicle, that's all about the fact that, hey, the means of production needs to be with the people and not with the government, aka communism, right? Sure enough, yeah, we see the propaganda machine continue. We see that this worker, instead of looking all tired and rather, what would that color be when he's got the overalls on? That would be like a lime green.
He's like green. He's lime. And then she doesn't have to work as much anymore, and they both get to enjoy it. They almost imply that he even gets to have a little bit of saving money by her inviting him to sit down.
And shorter working hours to enjoy the higher standard of living.
And also they get to go on holidays, which actually is true. The standard of living in the US was definitely a lot higher in the 1950s, but there were definitely a lot more to it than what's been alluded to in this short. I mean, World War II devastating every single world economy. The tax rate was incredibly high at 90%, which forced companies to invest and so on and so forth. So there was an actual middle class then. Again, it's a propaganda short that's just designed for capitalism.
Yeah. And of course, the Stan Freberg cats are seeing this and they're like, yeah, that figures. Yeah, that's all smart, that figures.
The cats are basically us, the audience, watching on. But I like that shot of the car, that really nice 1950s car, and the way it's done is very like a UPA design there.
Yeah, again, they're really going with the modern design to emphasize that this is an industrial cartoon that Elmer is showing him.
And we get the nice little twist at the end, which I really enjoy, where this whole short is about getting that money out, and the cat's failing, but then they're convinced by the whole film. And Sylvester's like,
I got the money, fellas. I got it.
What you trying to do? Upset our whole economic structure?
You dope! Put it back!
you don't want to upset their economic structure, which I'm sure they don't even understand what that means, and yet they just go with it.
I love that it's an Art Davis shop where they're telling him to go invest it in the economy, and then he goes back and it looks like Virgil Ross to me, where it's all this acting between Elmer and Sylvester at the end. And yeah, I like the fact that he hesitantly gives it back, and then we get the nice final shot where Sylvester just wishes he didn't even have the money. And I like this little touch. Irv Weiner, the background painter of this cartoon, actually has his signature on there.
Yeah, you see the painting is like, well, she would have saved them a lot of headaches if she found a way to take it with her. And we end right there.
It's kind of a weird non-entity, but I don't think they were really caring that much about these cartoons. They exist just to have money put into the studio. They ironically exist just for investments. I would put it at like a 6.5 to 7. It's a very funny cartoon, even with all the educational aspects.
Yeah, I think 7.5, I think, is a pretty strong score. And look, at least while I'm very critical of the actual information being presented, I love a lot of the gags in between. Yeah, okay, we've seen some of them before, like in The Mouse Divided, but the whole widow cat bit just kills me every time I see it. I just like the design of this short and how it smartly uses like an industrial animation short to present its final point. So, yeah. If anything, this is worthy to watch as a curio of the 1950s during the Cold War.
Yeah, I definitely think it's a real oddity, and it's nice that we have something like this to show, but what a unique situation, and at the very least, a nice cartoon came out of it.
Exactly, but I think that'll do it for this one. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and until next time, make sure you invest in some really good companies. Otherwise, Elmer will berate you again.
That's all, folks.
Okay, invested. Thanks. You'd have saved me a lot of headaches if you figured out a way to take it with you. Thanks.